My brother moved into my house after losing his job, and not long after I discovered he and my wife were having an affair. Now she's pregnant, and my parents are insisting I support all of them. Honestly, I'm still processing it all. I'm 32, and the main players here are me, my wife Sarah, she's 30, my younger brother Tom, 27, and my parents. Sarah and I have been married 5 years. We lived in a house I bought before tying the knot, a cozy 3-bedroom with a small yard. Tom's always been the favorite kid. My parents gave him more attention, more help, probably because he's a bit wild and unpredictable. I had a decent job that required occasional travel, sometimes for weeks. It paid well, offered a shot at a promotion, and Sarah worked part-time. Things mostly ran smoothly, until about a year ago when Tom lost yet another job. He's always struggled to hold down steady work, and my parents, feeling guilty or just desperate, asked if he could crash at our place temporarily. I was reluctant. Tom and I have never been close. He's always been a bit of a taker, never really giving back. But Sarah thought it would be good to support him, so I agreed, though with reservations. At first it seemed okay. Tom said he was job hunting, helping around the house and trying to get back on his feet. But then I started noticing odd things. Coming home after a long trip, I'd catch Sarah and Tom sharing private laughs, watching movies together. And when I brought it up, I told myself I was just jealous or tired. But then my trips became more frequent. 2 weeks away, then back for a week, then 10 days. I was busy, trying to focus, but I felt a gnawing sense that something wasn't right. One day, I came home early from a trip. My flight was unexpectedly changed. I wanted to surprise Sarah. When I entered, her car and Tom's battered old car were both in the driveway. The house was eerily quiet. I went inside and found them in the kitchen, just making coffee. But the way they reacted, stiff and nervous when I walked in, made my stomach turn. Tom looked guilty. Sarah looked like she'd seen a ghost. I asked Tom how his job hunt was. He mumbled something about a few leads. Sarah quickly shifted the subject, asking about my trip. I ignored the gut feeling and told myself I was imagining things. To be sure, I installed small security cameras, simple, hidden ones, while Sarah was out shopping. I didn't tell her. I knew she'd ask questions I couldn't answer without sounding accusatory. While I was away on my next 2-week trip, I checked the footage. What I saw was shocking. Tom and Sarah on my couch, kissing passionately, then undressing each other right there in my living room. I watched it in disbelief, feeling sick. I couldn't breathe. I turned off the feed and sat staring at the wall, unable to process what I just saw. Over the next days, I kept reviewing the footage. They were living like a couple, holding hands, cuddling, cooking together, even sleeping in my bed when I wasn't there. I recorded it all as proof. I didn't confront them yet. I just gathered every piece of evidence I could. It was a slow-burning rage mixed with a cold numbness. When I returned home, I didn't tell them I was coming. I just showed up unannounced. One morning, and there they were. Sarah sitting on Tom's lap at breakfast, frozen when they saw me. Tom looked furious. Sarah's face turned ghostly pale. Seriously? I asked calmly. This is my house. I live here. They froze, caught red-handed. Tom tried to act tough, saying, "What if we did? She doesn't love you anymore. She loves me now." I looked at Sarah, who just kept crying, silent. I asked her, "Is that true?" She nodded without a word. I asked if she meant it, and she whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to find out like this." That's when I told them about the cameras. Their panic was immediate. Tom started yelling, calling me a creep, accusing me of spying. Sarah just sobbed harder. I told them they had to leave, immediately. Tom lunged at me, swinging. I dodged, not wanting to fight, just wanting them gone. He tripped over a chair and fell, injuring his arm. As Sarah helped him up, I repeated, "Pack your things. Get out." They grabbed what they could, throwing things into bags, while I sat in silence, listening to Sarah's muffled crying and Tom's angry muttering. Once they finally left, I locked the door behind them. The house felt contaminated, like I'd been invaded. The next day, my parents called. I answered, expecting support, but instead my mother started yelling about how I could throw my brother onto the street, how I'd been cruel to Sarah. Tried to explain what had happened, but my father quickly jumped in, saying Tom and Sarah were in love and that these things happen. My mother insisted I was selfish for not supporting them, given I had a big house and a good job. Support them? After everything? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told them I was filing for divorce. They cried, begged, called me heartless, accusing me of destroying the family. They argued I was unfair, that Tom was settling down, that Sarah was a good girl, and I was the problem. I hung up, hired a lawyer, and started the process. Within weeks, I changed the locks, took legal steps to protect myself, and cut off contact. My parents kept pushing, trying to guilt me into supporting Tom and Sarah's new family, but I refused. I filed for full custody of any future child, aware of Sarah's infidelity and Tom's volatile behavior. My lawyer pushed for a DNA test. She agreed it was hers, and I was relieved. The court proceedings were intense. Sarah claimed she'd get her own place and that Tom would be a supportive dad. But the evidence was overwhelming. Tom's threats, his assault on me, the constant harassment, and my parents' meddling. The judge ordered supervised visits for Sarah, strict boundaries, and no contact between Tom and the baby. The goal was to keep our child safe and shielded from their chaos. Now I'm a single dad. It's tough, but my son Daniel is my world. Healthy, happy, and loved. I work from home 3 days a week, have a good nanny, and lean on my aunt, who's like a second grandmother to Daniel. Sarah visits under supervision. She's mostly quiet, sad, and sometimes tears up during visits. She's trying to rebuild her life, working part-time, living in a modest apartment, not with Tom. Meanwhile, Tom's life is a mess. After losing his support system, he's spiraled further into unemployment, bouncing from couch to couch. He still tries to slander me online, but my lawyer handles that. I've realized I need to protect my peace and focus on my son. Everything else is noise. The bottom line? I won't let anyone manipulate or use my child for their schemes. I've moved on, set boundaries, and I'm determined to give Daniel a stable, loving life, away from the chaos I once endured. No matter how much they plead or threaten, I know what's right, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep my family safe and intact.